message you, Nick. See you all on the other side.
And host. Thanks.
You got it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the regional semifinals for World's Top Whiskey Taster. My name is Sam Montgomery. I am the National Brand Ambassador for Bardstown Bourbon Company, and I am super excited to be your host for this evening's event. Tonight is our 10th and very last semifinal, and we are excited to close it out with the great state of Texas. The winner tonight will move on to our finals, hosted right here at our distillery, to compete against the other 9 finalists to see if they have what it takes to become the world's top whiskey taster. So what do these Texans have to do to prove that they have what it takes to move on to the finals? Well, Bardstown Bourbon Company sent each contestant a challenge kit, which they all have right in front of them as I speak. Inside these kits are 4 mystery whiskeys that correspond to 4 challenges that each contestant will go through tonight. We are going to challenge them to see if their palates can determine proof, age, whiskey type, and finishing barrel. Each challenge will increase in difficulty as well as increase in potential points. Their scores will be posted live in real time after each challenge. And when the 4 challenges are complete, each contestant will have 3 minutes to present a flight of whiskeys that they have personally curated to our guest judges. Their flight presentations will really give us a chance to see a bit of their personalities, how much they love whiskey, and therefore their presentations will be worth the largest amount of points. We are currently broadcasting this event live to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I've got it up right here on my phone so I can see your comments coming in real time. And I would love to give some shout outs while these 2 are going through the challenges. It's very weird, I know, to be in a room by themselves, knowing that there are tons of people watching them. So send some comments with some words of encouragement, some words of love, so that I can shout them out while they're going through these challenges. And with that being said, let's introduce you folks at home, our contestants for this evening. Contestants, just give a small little wave as I say your name before we get started here. Tonight, we have 2 contestants from Texas So it's going to be a very tight race. Our first contestant is Colby Howard. And then we also have Tunde Williams. So these are the two gentlemen tonight competing to move on to our finals. Guys, best of luck to the both of you. Give me a thumbs up if your kits are out and you guys are ready to get started. All right, and there's 2 thumbs up there from each of those guys. So guys, go ahead and grab the bottle labeled number 1 that we provided in your challenge kits and give yourself a little pour, but keep that pour right there until I give you the countdown. We're gonna let those whiskeys breathe while I tell you what you have to do with this first challenge. So challenge number 1 is called high or low. With this challenge, each contestant must determine if the mystery whiskey is either higher or lower than 100 proof. 1 point will be given for the correct answer, either high or low, and a bonus point will be awarded if the contestant can guess the exact proof within 2 points. So for example, if the said proof is 90, any answer between 88 and 92 will get you that bonus point, giving this round a potential of 2 points. We're going to time you guys. We're going to pull 2 minutes up on screen for you all to see, and you have to taste, evaluate, and submit your answers before that timer runs out. So I'll let you know verbally when there's about 30 seconds left, and we'll pull that timer up so you can see it as well. Do the 2 of you understand and are ready to go? Give me a thumbs up if we're good there. Okie dokie, Nick. Go ahead and pull up that timer. On my countdown, you guys can begin. In 3, 2, 1, start tasting for challenge number 1, guys, and best of luck to you. While we have a couple of minutes to let these guys taste, smell, and evaluate these whiskeys to determine what proof they think it might be, I want to tell everybody that is watching at home that maybe hasn't tuned into our previous events, what the winner today is going to compete for at the final competition. So whoever is crowned the world's top whiskey taster will win $20,000 in cash, a scholarship to Moonshine University to become an executive bourbon steward, and the opportunity to make their own unique bourbon blend here at Bardstown Bourbon Company with Steve Nally and our blending team. But not only that, we're going to send the World's Top Whiskey Taster to some of the top whiskey festivals in the country to represent Bardstown Bourbon Company as an ambassador. So as these guys are tasting whiskey, trying to prove that their palate is worth it, there is a lot on the line that they are competing for. I know for a lot of you, $20,000 is enough to have you start drinking whiskey and practicing your skills for next year. But truly, the other prizes, the scholarship to Moonshine University, blending your own bourbon, traveling across the country, those are incredible experiences that I have been fortunate enough to experience. That alone, without the $20,000, would be incredible. So I'm really excited to see if it is going to be one of these Texans that in fact gets to be the lucky winner that moves on to compete for that prize. So guys, we're getting closer, 20 seconds on the clock. If you all want to get your answers in on the Zoom chat to our scorekeeper, now would be a good time. There's 10 seconds left. Any scores after that timer will not be eligible, so please get those in. And we'll count it down in 3, 2, 1, 0. So whiskey's down. Hopefully your answers are in. We are going to let our scorekeeper that is working behind the scenes take those answers, update our scoreboard. And before we tell you what the scores are and what the bottle in challenge number 1 is, I would like to introduce our first guest judge of the night. We have a very special guest judge. It is our CEO, Mr. Mark Irwin. Mark, thank you for joining us tonight. Super excited to hear your feedback on these presentations later. And I heard that you are also kind of following along on these challenges. Is that right? Are you trying to see if you're the world's top whiskey taster as well?
No, I am not, Sam, but yes, I'm always trying to learn. So this is a cool competition. Look, I've seen how hard this is. I know how hard it is. So I appreciate you guys digging in, and I know you've put in time to try to get ready for it. So good on you. Best of luck to both of you. first of all, real proud of our team here at Bardstown for all the different things they've done to make this work. This has been a long time planning, and we've changed up during COVID and keep trying to make it better. But Sam and all the crew behind her are doing amazing things, and we appreciate all of that. We're real excited to be in Texas. We are hoping you two are going to be the start of our ambassador team down there, but we're excited to be in Texas and excited to see it be a great state for us at Bardstown Bourbon Company as well. So good luck to both of you tonight. Excited to hear everything that goes on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Excited to hear your feedback later after these flight presentations. We'll check in with you then. Before we reveal the scoreboard, it is time to reveal to the contestants what their mystery whiskey was for challenge number 1. So for challenge number 1, you all had to try and guess if the proof was higher or lower than 100. And if you could, your best guess at the exact proof. And the mystery whiskey is Pikesville Rye, which is a Heaven Hill product that is 110 proof. So the first correct answer would have been high, and the bonus point answer would have been anything in between 108 and 112. So Nick, let's see how these two did after challenge number 1. Okay, so tough challenge. Nobody got both points, but Colby was able to manage 1 point. So congratulations, Colby. Tunde, that's all right. You got this, bud. We've got a lot more challenges. We've got a lot more points to dole out. We're going to have more points available in the 3rd and 4th rounds. So hang in there. And with that said, we're going to dive right into challenge number 2. So Tunde and Colby, if you want to grab challenge number 2 bottle, give yourself a little pour. And just like before, don't smell that or taste that just yet. Let's just let that whiskey breathe while I tell you what challenge number 2 is. So in the second challenge, this one is called young or old. With this challenge, each contestant must determine the age of the whiskey. The whiskey will either be younger than 4 years or older than 8 years. So we're giving you a little bit of a window here. It definitely will not be between 4 and 8 years, right? That would be cruel and mean, and we would not do that. So if you believe the whiskey to be younger than 4 years old, your answer should be young. And if you believe it to be older than 8 years old, your answer should be old. We're going to give you 1 point for that correct answer. And then for a bonus point, if you want to try and pin the exact age, we'll give you a bonus point if you're within a year. So if the whiskey is in fact 2 years old, any answer between 1 and 3 will give you that bonus point. We're going to give you 2 minutes, just like the first round, and I'll count it down to begin. Can I get a thumbs up from the 2 of you that we understand? We're ready to go? All right, Nick, let's pull that timer up so I can count it down to start challenge number 2. All right, guys, you may begin in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and start challenge number 2. And best of luck to the both of you while you try to determine how old this mystery whiskey is. So let's tune in to Facebook for a minute. It looks like we have 78 people watching. That is a lot of people watching for 2 people. So that's awesome. Let's check out some of the comments that we've got going on here. It looks like Dustin Hose says SSW supporting Colby. Adam Reeder just says Colby, Colby, Colby. And Myra Robertson also said hashtag Colby. So Colby is getting a ton of love. So is Tunde, though. It looks like Christine Connolly is rooting for you, Tunde. Let's see. Michelle Coate just said woohoo. I guess she's just having a great time watching this competition. Thank you, Michelle. And let's see. Everybody's really excited. Tons of love coming for both of these two here. If you all are maybe just watching, not particularly supporting either contestant, but you just want to say hi, maybe to a friend, maybe to me, Mark, one of the judges, tell me what you're drinking. Love to hear from you guys. So we are on Facebook and YouTube. I'll check in with YouTube after this one before we move on. Guys, we're running out the clock. Time to get those answers in if you have not already. All eligible answers have to be in before that timer runs out, and we have 25 seconds left. And I can see Tunde and Colby on one screen right here, and it looks like they're kicking back and just like relaxing. So I'm going to take that as a sign of confidence that they nailed this one. Hopefully we see some points on the board after challenge number 2. And we've got 5 seconds left. So we're going to let this run out in 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, so that is it for challenge number 2. Before we reveal the bottle and reveal the scores, it's time to introduce our second guest judge for the night. And we have our head distiller with us, Nick Smith. Nick has been with us for a couple of these competitions so far, so he has seen some presentations. Nick, what are you looking for in these presentations from these two tonight? What are you excited to see?
Definitely excited to go through the presentations. Creativity is the key that I'm going for. Enthusiasm behind what the products that they're explaining. Anxious to see what they have. Anxious for this round right here. Tight race with just 2 of them. Tunde hopefully gets that goose egg off the scoreboard after this round. I have faith in him right there. You know, I was really hoping that Mark Irwin's scores were going to be posted on here as well. So,
Yeah.
I hope he's keeping a tally at home to see what he scores on this as well.
Yeah, I think he's just maybe a little nervous to show his scores, but we'll see. We'll see if we can
do a great job.
We'll see if we can coax some answers from him after the 4 challenges are done. All right. Well, thank you, Nick. We'll check back in with you when we are ready to see these presentations. It is time to reveal the bottle that you all had as your mystery whiskey for challenge number 2. So challenge number 2, trying to guess the age, either younger or older, and if you can, the exact age within a year. And the mystery whiskey is, in fact, a 10-year bourbon from Calumet Farms. So if you guessed old, oh no, Tunde is kind of rolling back in his chair. I can't tell if he's happy or sad. It is an old bourbon by the terms set. And if you guessed anything between 9 and 11, then you got both points for this round. So Nick, let's see what the scores look like after challenge number 2. Okay, so Colby managed to grab both points on this one. Tunde, tough break again, but if you were gonna miss 2 answers, the first 2 are worth the smallest amount of points. I got faith in you. Don't lose hope. We've got 2 more challenges to go before the presentations, and we're gonna start up in the ante on points here. So don't lose faith just yet. And with that, let's grab bottle number 3 and give yourselves a little pour. Same drill as the first 2. Let's let that whiskey breathe and just keep it right there on that table until I give you the countdown. So challenge number 3 is called Which Whiskey? This is a difficult challenge. In this challenge, you must determine what type of whiskey you have in your glass. And we're going to give you a bit of a multiple choice to help you out just a little bit, although it's still incredibly difficult. So your choices for whiskey type either are bourbon whiskey, rye whiskey, Scotch whiskey, or Irish whiskey. So we're going to give you 1 point if you can guess the whiskey type, but we're going to give you 5 extra points if you can pin the label. So this has proved to be a very difficult challenge, but definitely an obtainable one. We've had several people get all of the potential points on this round in California, and then in 1 person in Florida. So Texas, I'm excited to see if you guys can get this difficult challenge as well. We're going to put 2 minutes on the clock, just like the first 2 challenges. Can I get a thumbs up from the 2 of you that we understand and are ready to go? Okay, so Nick, go ahead and pull that timer up. I will count it down. And in 3, 2, 1, begin challenge 3, guys, and best of luck with this difficult challenge. While they are tasting away and smelling away, using all of their senses to evaluate, I'd also like to say that this is one that we have tried internally with the BBC team several times, and it does take a bit of practice. So going into it, blindly, all of these are blind, obviously, but, having never maybe compared a Scotch to an Irish or a bourbon to a rye, it's kind of hard to just be confident and go right into it. I know a lot of our contestants, not just in this competition, but in several competitions that we've held so far, have been helping each other out, blinding each other, either with each other or their spouses or partners, friends, things like that. And it can really heighten your skills, your palate, to compare things that are similar but different next to each other. It's very easy to be confident you can tell the difference when the bottles are in front of you, but when the bottles disappear, it's when you really start to second guess yourself. So I'm very interested to see who's got it here in Texas tonight. Still tons of comments coming in for Colby. Chris Ballinger said, pouring an Old Bards to celebrate how awesome Colby is. That's a great bourbon to pour. I love that. Taylor Turnbull says, bold move, Cotton. Not quite sure what that means, but it looks like everybody is getting a ton of love on Facebook and YouTube. So that's great. Colby's laughing, so hopefully that meant something to him. We've got 15 seconds left, guys. If you have not entered your answers yet, now would be a good time. All right, Tunde threw his hands up like, that's it. That's the best I got. Tunde, I'm rooting for you, bud. And the timer is out. So before we reveal the mystery whiskey and the scoreboard after challenge number 3, we have one more judge to introduce to you all tonight. And we have a very special judge tonight making his first appearance as a judge, but his 10th appearance on World's Top Whiskey Taster is Nick Lewis. So Nick Lewis is our state manager for the Maryland, DC area. He has actually been the one that's been producing everything from Zoom with monitors and windows galore. But this is his 10th show by now. So he was getting a little bit bored with the producing work. So he wanted to step in and judge. And a great judge he's going to be. Nick, thanks for being here tonight. What are you looking forward to? You've seen all 10 competitions because you've been behind the scenes. So what are some of the things that you have liked in the presentations, and what do you hope to see from these two tonight?
Well, I just want to say, like, all of the competitions and all the presentations have been absolutely incredible, and they've all been super unique as well. There's a lot of people that really haven't touched upon like too unique stuff. So bringing out a unique or bringing out something is always going to be good fun. However, just being authentic and people being themselves is really what I'm going to look for. That's what is driving it. We want to see you as a person. And that's really what's going to be key for myself.
Awesome. Nick, do you have any words of advice for these two that maybe are a bit nervous in these empty rooms in front of their laptops to produce that energy that you're looking for in these presentations? What advice would you give to them?
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, this was meant to be an event that was in person. So it is really hard to try and see yourself come across across the screen. And it kills us that we couldn't have these in person. Myself as a bartender, for me, if you've got energy and you're used to being behind that bar, stand up, be yourself, let the energy flow. There's a reason why Sam's not sat down now herself. So just kind of just like relax. That's just who people are. We want to see your character. So please do show it as much as you can.
Great advice, Nick. Thank you. We're excited to see these presentations and to hear your feedback afterwards. So let's move on to revealing what the mystery whiskey was. And in challenge number 3, which is maybe the most difficult challenge, depending on who you ask, you had to determine what whiskey type you had, and if you could, pin the label. So I'm here to tell you that your mystery whiskey is hopefully one that is familiar with you. I feel it is familiar with most people. It is, in fact, Bullet Rye. So Green Label Bullet is a rye whiskey. I'm seeing, man, both of you with some big reactions here. So let's see what the scores look like, Nick, after round 3. Oh, and 0 points for either of you. I guess this was a tough one for you guys in Texas, or maybe you guys don't drink enough rye. But tough break, that's okay. 3 points in the lead for Colby still. That is not a lot. The bulk of these points are going to come from your flight presentation. So it truly is either one of your wins right now. But we've got one more challenge to go through and another 5 points to give out before we hit those presentations. So Tunde, Colby, grab the last bottle in your kit that we provided and go ahead and give yourself a little pour. We've got one more challenge before you guys are going to be on blast presenting your flight of whiskeys. So let those whiskeys breathe for just a second while I explain to you what you're doing in the fourth challenge. So challenge number 4 is called Which Finish. In this challenge, you must determine which whiskey is in your glass from the following Bardstown Bourbon Company collaboration releases. So we're going to give you a bit of a multiple choice on this one as well. It is either going to be the Goodwood Walnut Ale finish, the Copper and Kings Sherry finish, or the Copper and Kings Orange Curacao finish. So if you're unfamiliar with what a finished whiskey is, let me explain a little bit further for you. So a finished whiskey is when you take a bourbon in all of its regulations and rights, right? A totally standard bourbon. For our releases, our finished whiskeys, I think the youngest bourbon we've used has been 9 years old and the oldest has been 12. So we take a 9-year to a 12-year bourbon out of its charred oak barrel, right? And we put it into a used barrel that previously held a different spirit. That's what we call the finishing barrel. The spirit that it held before is going to influence that bourbon with smell, taste, character, color, everything, right? So as indicated in their names, you can tell what spirit was in that barrel before. So we've got a walnut ale, a sherry, and an orange curacao. Even if you've never had the chance to try one of these finishes, you can take what you know about those 3 spirits to determine which finish is in your glass. This is also a difficult challenge, so we are going to give you 5 points, all or nothing, for the correct answer. So we'll see if we're still at 3 to zip after challenge number 4, or if one of you can either take the lead or come back pretty strong. So we're going to put 2 minutes on the screen again. Colby and Tunde, do you guys want to give me a thumbs up that you're ready to go? Understand? Okay. Nick, bring up that timer and I will count it down to start challenge number 4. And in 3, 2, 1, 0. So best of luck to you guys. I just saw on Facebook here that Kyle Palmer says, I want to try that orange curacao now. I don't blame you. It's delicious. And since you happen to mention it, let me tell you about this orange curacao because it's actually our most recent finish. So the orange curacao finish was with Copper and Kings, a local brandy distillery in Louisville that also produces absinthe, gins, and in this case, an orange curacao. So they gave us their used orange curacao barrel, still wet, still soaking, and even with some liquid inside of it still. And we put a 9-year bourbon into that used barrel. That sat for 18 months, which is an incredibly long time to finish a whiskey. A lot of people won't even tell you how long they finish for. And if they do, it's usually 6 months or less, but we're letting it sit in there for 18 months and it's really grabbing a lot of character. What came out was this really robust, smooth, and citrusy whiskey, finished whiskey. And if you are a fan of old fashions, I'm telling you, this will make the best tasting top shelf old fashioned that you've ever had. You could almost call it an old fashioned in a glass just by pouring it on the rocks, but certainly fixing it up with some bitters and some sugar makes it so enjoyable. So if you want to get your hands on it, it's tough. It is very allocated, but to see where any of our product is, you can go to our website, bardstownbourbon.com, click on the where to buy feature and enter in your zip code to see where our product is closest to you. So with that being said, guys, it looks like the timer is running pretty close to out here. 10 seconds left. Looks like you guys are looking pretty comfortable, like you might have your answers in already. So I'm excited to see how you guys did. And there goes the last of the timer. So whiskey's down. Hopefully your answers are in. We are going to give Laurel, our designated scorekeeper for the night, just a minute to calculate those scores, update our scoreboard to reveal here shortly. So let's check in with the guys and see how they're feeling. Let's start with Colby, who's leading the board with 3 points. Colby, how are you feeling about these challenges so far? You're in the lead, but these challenges are proving to be pretty difficult. How's it going?
Yeah, no, way harder than you would think. I've done a lot of tasting stuff neat for this, but still, when you're put on the spot and you're trying to guess proof or guess age, it's way harder than you would think. And to give you an example, I thought Bullet Rye was a Scotch, so y'all can laugh for sure. But I was way off on that one. So tasting it blind, you literally have no idea, no matter how much practice you think you have.
Yes, it's definitely tough. It's definitely tough. Let's check in with Tunde, who's still got a big goose egg on the board, Tunde, but I feel like you're really going to show up maybe in this last challenge, but I'm definitely getting good vibes about your presentation. What do you think is going on with these challenges, Tunde?
Well, I thought I knew some things about bourbon. And it's like, I got to go back to the drawing board because I thought I could distinct certain things, but certain notes throw you off depending on what you're looking for. And even just like Colby was saying, I was so sure the previous one was a particular one. I was like, that can't be. Because usually I don't like rye like that. And I was like, that's not what I thought it was.
What did you think it was?
I thought it reminded me of a little bit of a Macallan.
Okay, interesting. That's interesting.
That's what you thought too? Exactly. I totally thought that too.
So you guys both guessed Macallan. What do you know about Macallan that was leading you to think that Bullet Rye was that? What were you tasting on there? Either of you?
So I personally, I don't drink a ton of scotch. I know some friends of mine are rolling right now, laughing about this, but I don't drink a ton of scotch. It was just super smooth. It had a kind of butterscotch caramel mid palate with a barley finish. So I was thinking it's not American for sure. And I may have pigeonholed myself by, thinking so strongly that it wasn't American. But yeah, just lots of scotch notes. It was super light, super delicate, a little bit of butterscotch, a little bit of honey, kind of a floral note, and then a malted barley finish. So I was picturing straight scotch and was absolutely thrown off.
Yeah,
interesting.
For me, it went down so smooth, but with that strong finish at the end. And I said, that's normally something I get from a Macallan. But I guess I need to start varying out of the brands that I'm used to and I've tasted.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's the beauty of this competition, is it hopefully makes you walk away with some perspective and some knowledge that you didn't have before. So with that said, we've got our scores in for the last round. I'm really hoping that you guys are successful with this one. Before we reveal the scores, reveal what the finished whiskey was. So out of those 3 choices, you had Goodwood Walnut Ale, Copper Rankings Sherry, or Copper Rankings Orange Curacao. And it was, in fact, the Goodwood Walnut Ale. So, see, Tunde, I love that you're still smiling. All right, let's see those scores and see how it looks after all 4 challenges. All right, so now Colby's got 8 points. Tunde, you've got 0, but we are really excited to see your presentation, and that does not mean that you cannot win. We're about to give you a lot of points for presentation. So best of luck going into these. Before we get started, I'm going to explain to everybody watching at home kind of what you guys have been getting ready for. So in the meantime, if Tunde and Colby, you want to set yourself up for your presentations while I explain, you're more than welcome to do that. So for those of you watching at home that are wondering what these 2 are getting ready to present to us, when Bardstown Bourbon Company sent them a challenge kit, we also asked them to do a little homework for us. So we wanted them to prepare a flight of whiskeys that kind of shows us their personality, their knowledge, their enthusiasm. So our guest judges are going to be listening very intently and judging them on their presentation skills and their thoughtfulness. So 5 points for presentation, 5 points for thoughtfulness. They'll be asking themselves questions like, how enthusiastic does this person seem while they're presenting? Are they presenting in a way that makes you want to taste and listen and be excited about these whiskeys. Are they, in an order that makes sense? What are we comparing between the three of these? And would you walk away from this flight with knowledge that you didn't have before? So we are going to start with Colby, since Colby is in the lead. We're going to give Colby 3 minutes. So Colby, we're going to pull that timer up and start it whenever you begin. We're going to spotlight your video while you speak, but we'll pull that timer back up for you to see when there are 2 minutes left, when there's 1 minute left, and when there are 10 seconds left, so that you can see how to pace yourself. So with that said, Nick, go ahead and bring up the screen for the timer. And there it is. Colby, best of luck. You may take it away whenever you are ready.
All right, guys. So when I conceptualized this flight, I really sat down and thought about the two things about Bardstown Bourbon Company that really stand out to me. Number one, I think most importantly, and by far the coolest, is the transparency when it comes to blending. For some reason, blending is a dirty word in American whiskey, and I truly don't understand why. There are some exceptional single barrels in the world. We're actually going to taste one of them in this flight, but 2 of the 3 whiskeys that I brought for you today are actually blends that I was on the blending team for. So I've had the privilege of going down that rabbit hole of trying to blend a whiskey. The first one we're going to start with is a Woodford Reserve that was blended for a bar called Hyde down in Deep Ellum. We're starting on our lowest proof. We're right at 90.4 proof. Oh gosh, on our nose, guys, we don't get a ton of that isolamyl acetate like we usually get from Brown-Forman products. That's replaced by a lot of crisp apples, a lot of sandalwood, little subtle sweetness, kind of a honey with a kind of a lavender tinge. On the palate, super buttery, a lot of white peaches, got a little bit of apricots, a little bit of peach ring kind of funkiness to it. Our finish is relatively quick and subtle just because of the lower proof. As we work our way up, we go to another blend that I was part of. This is a Heaven's Door blend. It's called Highway 61. It's middle of the road for many reasons. Number one, it's 93.6 proof, so it's the middle of the road proof-wise we're tasting. And it's also 60% bourbon and 40% rye. Chose this whiskey because it gives you a great mix of bourbon and rye. You get lots of bourbon notes up front. On the nose, we're talking just lots of potpourri, kind of a dried oregano, dried greenery tinge. And then on the palate, it's lots of juicy green grapes, little vanilla custard, and then finishes really well with some overwhelming rye spice, lots of caraways, a little bit of fennel, and long, warming Kentucky hug. And last but not least, guys, to try to showcase some of the hospitality that I felt at Bardstown Bourbon Company when I visited Bottled and Bond Kitchen, I fresh cracked a single barrel for you guys that was chosen by our whiskey club. This is a Sagamore rye, Baltimore style rye. It's 110 proof and 6 years old. So it's the oldest and the highest proof that we're finishing with. Main reason why we wanted to do that is just because it's such an example of rye whiskey as we kind of transition through whiskeys. On the nose, just tons of beautiful rye notes, lots of white pepper, lots of caraway, a little bit of ethanol underneath it. On the palate, super vegetal. It's a truckload of green celery, a little bit of wintergreen, kind of a fresh wintergreen. And then it finishes really robustly with some dark anise, some dark roasted raisins, a really nice red fruit. But yeah, that's the flight I prepared for you guys. Kind of walked you through a blending a bourbon and rye, and then a true single barrel rye whiskey. And absolutely appreciate your consideration for World's Top Whiskey Taster. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Colby. That is one that I don't think we've seen yet in the 10 competitions, a theme of blending, which obviously at Bardstown Bourbon Company, we are all about. So I can't wait to see what the judges say of your presentation. I'm going to let them speak after we see both of your presentations. So if we can take it over to Tunde for his presentation.
Sam, we're just going to jump over to a quick video. He's just having a bit of internet problems.
Okay,
we're going to give him a couple of minutes to come over.
Awesome. So we're going to get Tunde back online. In the meantime, we're going to play a short video for you guys to enjoy. Thanks for hanging tight.
Hi, Sam. Could you just give us a couple more moments? We're going to go to one more VT.
All right, so we're still trying to get Tunde back on, guys. So thanks for hanging with us. I can see a ton of comments coming in on Facebook. So thanks for hanging in there and talking to us. Barry Foster said, great restaurant, by the way. Thank you, Barry. Our restaurant is open right now with a limited capacity and all of the safety regulations in there for COVID. So all tables are 6 feet apart, hand sanitizing stations everywhere, masks for everybody that walks in the door. So if you all are looking to get out and thinking about coming to visit Kentucky, we have a great restaurant. You can book a reservation on our website. You can also book an experience. So here in this room that I'm standing in is one of our most special places. This is our Rick House bar that we call Pete's Place. So this is obviously a very unique Rick House and not a virtual background at all. See, as I do not disappear as I move backwards. Those are real barrels behind me, all full of whiskey. And this is not our only Rick House, although it is the only one with a bar, but we have 7 Rick Houses right now. We're filling them up fast. They're not all totally full, but they are filling up so fast that we are not slowing down, building more. So we're currently finishing up a Rick House right now and getting ready to start the next. This is the only one that has a bar, however. So a couple of things that we do here in this bar are some of our more VIP experiences. So you can book a cocktail class for you and your friends where you learn how to make 2 different cocktails, a Kentucky Mule and a Sazerac, one of my favorite cocktails of all time. And you get to make it right here at the bar that I'm standing at. It is a gorgeous bar. We give you all the tools, all the ingredients. It is a very interactive and immersive cocktail class and is definitely worth checking out. We also have our general tour that we sell for $10 a person. Ends up right here in our Rick House in this room right behind me, where you get to thieve some whiskey straight from the barrel. So maybe you've had barrel strength bourbon before, but if you've never had bourbon straight from the barrel, this is the place to find that experience. It is truly special. Yes.
Whilst Tunde is just taking a moment just to settle himself after reconnecting, we had a question on YouTube, is what is your favorite pour from our products?
Oh man, that one is so tough. Honestly, just like my go-to everyday pour truly is Fusion. I think it beats out a lot of top shelf product and even very well-aged product. I love like our 10-year and 12-year and above product, but I feel like when you get into very well-aged product, everything kind of starts to taste the same. You know, the barrel kind of influences it so much that you're just getting the barrel character and less of the mash bill and what makes it unique. So with Fusion, we have 3-year product, and with Fusion number 3 specifically, we have 3-year product from Bardstown Bourbon Company, one that uses a high rye mash bill and one that uses a wheated mash bill, blended with a 12-year product. And I really feel like the complexity and the balance of having young and old makes it a whiskey that is very interesting. There's something that I really like about not just whiskey, but any spirit where I can taste it and I kind of, you know, don't expect to ask myself a question afterwards. So I taste it and I'm kind of like, oh, what's happening? Like it tasted like this at the front, but on the finish, it kind of surprises you with different tasting notes. For me personally, on the front, I get caramels and bright citrus, like green apple and honey in a way. And then kind of mid palate, I get those high rye baking spices that kind of tingle on the sides of your tongue a bit. And then with the finish, that like wheated mash bill really shows itself in kind of this like soft, subtle, melts off the tongue kind of sensation. So it's just one that makes me think. And I like a bourbon that makes me think. So I'd have to say Fusion for my everyday go-to. But I think if you ask enough whiskey connoisseurs, I think different whiskeys, different occasions call for different whiskeys, right? So that's kind of my blanket whiskey. But you know, if it's a cocktail party or you know, depending on what the mood and what the weather is like, there's always a different whiskey to try. So I think all of our products are great. That is a great question.
Okay, timer is ready.
Timer is ready. How's Tunde feeling? Tunde, we sorry we lost you for a little bit. We got you back on. Do you
Hello,
need...
can you hear me well? Because it seems a little low.
We can hear you very well.
Okay.
You look great. Do you want me to give you another minute to get your bottle set, or are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm gonna try to rock and roll. It's kind of thrown me off my game that I planned on, but I'll try to make something out of nothing at this point.
I think you're doing great, Tunde. I think everybody is super excited to see your presentation. So we are going to spotlight your video. Nick is going to bring that 3-minute timer up. As soon as you see that, you can start whenever you are ready. And there it is from Nick. So Tunde, take a breath, take a moment if you need to, and take it away whenever you are ready.
Hi, everyone. So for me, for this challenge, having never done a challenge before, I had a lot of work to do. And also being kind of new to bourbons in general and whiskeys in general, I also still had a mountain to climb. You know, Kobe is definitely head and shoulders above me in terms of his knowledge and his experience with whiskeys. But at this point for me, I know I'm very much still a beginner and there's so much more for me to learn. But I did appreciate the opportunity to learn so much more about the Bardstown Company and what they've been doing for the past, you know, since they've been in inception. So for me, for what I selected the Old Stone Bardstown. And for this one, I liked it because for someone who had never tried the product, it was like a beginner product for me. It's for that person who's not very whiskey savvy. And also, it's also for that person who, you know what, it doesn't break the bank. So my recommendation is you start with something like this particular brand. When it comes to the taste and aroma, first, when you approach it, what you'll notice is that it hits you immediately. You can tell that there's a lot going on with it. There are several flavors, several aromas going on. When it comes to the taste, it kind of catches you off guard if you've never had a whiskey before. Now, if you've ever had a whiskey before, you can tell that it's not more like one of their more high-end products, but it's still wonderful. It makes for a great mixture for those who consider mixing bourbons. Personally, most whiskey aficionados will tell you, you don't mix it. Either you take it on the rocks or you take it straight. But for that person that's new to whiskey, this is the kind of stuff you can mix with something like either your favorite juice or your favorite soda, if that's what you're into. Next for me was one of the fusions. This especially was my favorite. I loved it because with the fusion, what I got was a very strong taste. You had so much flavor, so much aroma. It's really powerful, actually. Initially starts off smooth and then goes down, then you feel it. So this really epitomized what I wanted. Sorry.
Tunde, it's okay, but you did great. Man, it's 2020. We're all trying to figure out how to do this live and how to make this work. Trust me, this is my 10th one and I'm still saying things wrong and missing my cues. I think your authenticity and your enthusiasm were still received and we appreciate it. And we are so glad that you are here competing against Colby tonight. So, and we were able to hear you present your thoughts and your tasting notes about fusion. That means a lot to us. So trust me when I say that I'm sure you made a great impression with the judges. So thank you so much for your presentation. And with that said, guys, we've seen both presentations. We've gone through all 4 challenges. Both of you are just wonderful whiskey tasters and just great, likable people that clearly love and are passionate about whiskey and whiskey culture. And that has been the most rewarding thing for us at Bardstown Bourbon Company are holding these competitions, is that we have truly made some solid friendships, some relationships with everybody that has been competing. And we hope to continue those no matter what happens in these events. So thank you very much for both being here. Before we reveal scores, let's take it to our judges and see what they thought of the competition. And since this is our last competition, judges, feel free to say, what you thought about the competition as a whole. And it looks like Nick's on screen and ready. So Nick Smith, let's start with you, bud. What'd you think?
I thought it was a great competition. Tunde, hang in there. You did a good job. Definitely had it rolling. Colby, very descriptive, extremely informative. The descriptions for each one on your tasting notes, definitely your nose and palate. You nailed each one of those. I think your second one was a Heaven's Door, if I'm not mistaken. I've actually never tried that product before. I just know it's Bob Dylan related, but after your description, definitely makes me want to go get a bottle and give that a shot. I actually already Googled it a while ago when we had some connection troubles to get a sample kit of 3 different kinds they have. So extremely descriptive, great presentation. And Tunde, his was great as well. Hit the fusion. That's one of my favorites, everyday sipper that I like to drink every single night. And either one of you guys come in Kentucky, come to Bardstown Bourbon Company, sit down, have some drinks, and we'll do our own little tasting right there. So great job tonight.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate the feedback. Let's take it to Mark Irwin, our CEO next. Mark, what would you like to say to these 2 contestants tonight?
Awesome, guys. Seriously, love having you guys participate. We're so excited about Texas. And look, Sam told you I was doing this. I know how hard it is, man. I hate to tell you, I got 1 more point than you. So that tells you how good I am at this, right? This is hard stuff. And I've watched really good, experienced folks have a hard time with this. So appreciate you guys giving it a shot. Excited to see either of you with us in Kentucky when we do the finals. So thanks very much, guys.
And thank you, Mark. And Nick Lewis, what would you like to say to round out this evening before we crown our winner?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say to Tunde for technical difficulties and then coming back in as well. And then, like you said, it's about having yourself disjointed and trying to come through. So a massive round of applause for that one. Loved your confidence that when you did come back in. And Colby, I'm really intrigued about when you said, and feel free to answer this question, when you said that this was your own blend of whiskey. Where was that from?
So I've had the pleasure of working in the bar industry for a really long time. So both the Heaven's Door and the Woodford were done for a bar called High down in Deep Ellum that I worked for. So I blended this with our beverage director and owner over a few weeks for both of them, and it was super amazing experience to not only blend a whiskey and to see how that process works, because I've chosen some single barrels, but it was also a real challenge to get a blend that we were happy with. And that's absolutely, you put good whiskeys into a bottle, it doesn't necessarily mean that the blend is going to turn out very good. We learned that pretty quickly. It's a difficult thing to do. So that was one of the things that I drew from experience wise when I thought about Bardstown, is I thought back to myself struggling to blend those.
I think we're losing you a bit, so I'm going to pass it back to Sam. Thank you to the both of you. That was really cool. Great representation.
Thank you, Nick. Yes, I think all of these World's Top Whiskey Taster events have been certainly, I guess I would say, awkward and uncomfortable territory, but I think has made a lot of people kind of step up and learn things about themselves, and certainly for everybody watching, learn things about you guys as people and as whiskey lovers. So I hope you all walk away from this, not just Texas, but Tennessee, Indiana, Illinois, Florida, everybody that's watching. I hope that this was fun and entertaining for you all. It's super fun for us as whiskey geeks to have a competition that's all about tasting whiskey. So we were happy to provide. It is really exciting that we are about to crown our last finalist and get into the finals here in hopefully a few weeks. So before we announce who that is, just a few thanks that I would like to give all the guest judges tonight: Nick Smith, Nick Lewis, Mark Irwin. Thank you guys for showing your support to the competition and allowing us to do this, and giving some really awesome feedback to the contestants throughout. Thank you to the contestants above anybody else. You guys deserve all the thanks in the world for putting yourselves out there in 2020 and dealing with everything that comes with. I cannot commend you enough for how much bravery that takes. Thank you to all the viewers that are watching, supporting these contestants or supporting Bardstown Bourbon Company. We really appreciate it. And we're happy to see how many people love and are interested in this whiskey competition that we've created. Thank you to everybody working behind the scenes. So many people had a part in putting this together that I could not list them all, but people that I think deserve some extra love. At the top of the list, Laura Altman, who is at the very least our scorekeeper for all of these events, but way more than that, she is our marketing director. So World's Top Whiskey Taster was kind of her project to execute, and she has done a wonderful job. So thank you, Laurel. Also, Michael Powell, our executive creative director, who has helped make all of these beautiful assets. Everything that you've seen that has been branded is all this guy's work. So thank you, Michael, for making it look as beautiful as the brand should. And Nick Lewis, who was a judge tonight, but also has been, taking his personal time to help be our super secret tech whiz, producing all of these live for us. So thank you very much, Nick.
And as always, on that cue, everyone, could you please raise your glass and just say thank you for our incredible presenter. Thank you very much, Sam. It's been absolutely wonderful.
It's been a dream come true in a way, seriously. So cheers to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So with that said, with all thanks given, it is time to reveal our winner. Once again, you guys both did wonderful and are World's Top Whiskey Tasters in my heart, and hopefully friends and family of Bardstown Bourbon Company forever. But let's see those scores and see who our regional finalist is from Texas. Nick, please. And it is Colby Howard. But Tunde, you did so good, buddy. And Colby, a big round of applause to you, bud. You did so well. I'm very happy for you, and I'm so excited to bring you out here to Bardstown Bourbon Company to compete against the other finalists. Is there anything you would like to say about how you're feeling right now, or how excited you are to come out here?
Yeah, no, I feel great. I'm super excited to come visit the homeland again, come back to Kentucky and see you guys again at Bardstown. Big shout out to the Someone Say Whiskey fam for showing up in droves and supporting in the comment section. I know the million text messages I got to get to, but I really appreciate all of you guys. The next part of the challenge is going to be a lot of fun, and I very much look forward to coming home, so to speak, to Kentucky and trying to compete with the rest of these winners.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Colby. We're super excited to see you as well. So with that said, folks, that's it for our World's Top Whiskey Taster semifinals. It's been super fun to get to know all of these contestants. I'm super excited to bring all 10 of them out to Bardstown Bourbon Company. Right now, the plan is October 16th. We haven't announced much yet about details, but we will in the coming days here. So pay attention to our Facebook page and our Instagram at Bardstown Bourbon Company to find out how to watch the finals and how to see if Colby is actually going to be the world's top whiskey taster, taking a win for Texas. So until next time, love each other, cheers each other, and stay safe. And we will see you all soon. Thank you and good night.
Go Kobe.